What's happening, everyone? Nicky Hawkins here, West Ham Fan TV, back once again with another Musings. The Musings is back, and I'm glad to be back. I put you 3 subjects in this show, and you respond to me on Twitter. I'll read them out on here. I'll give you my opinion, and then I'll read out all of your opinions. It's one of my favourite shows to do, so let's get straight into it. Question number 1. Is top 4 for West Ham still a possibility after another poor home result against Leeds? Obviously, we got beat 3-2 against Leeds on Sunday. Not an ideal result, and when you're looking back at our home form this season, it's been quite poor. Defeats to Brentford, Southampton and Leeds now. Draws against Brighton, Palace. We've beaten some of the big boys there, but if you want to get a chance at getting top 4, you've got to be winning them games at home. There's no doubt about it. We've been quite impressive on the road, but that form can change at any point now. We've got some tough games away from home, but we've beaten the likes of obviously Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City in the cup at home, and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's one of them ones where it's tough. It's a tough one to grasp, really. Can we do it? We need to improve our home form greatly. If we are to do it, we need to improve it tenfold. I personally don't think we will get top 4. The others obviously have got games in hand. We're currently sitting in the top 4, but I don't think we'll get top 4. There's a big game against Manchester United on Saturday, and that will, go some way in telling us how far we are towards sort of getting top 4. But I think it's a bit beyond us. But it all depends on what we do in the transfer market. It all depends on how quickly. Well, not even how quickly now, because after the Man United game, we've got to break until after the transfer window. But we need to get some players in for reinforcements, because, as you see, we was getting torn to pieces the other day. We've got our defence out, which is fair enough, and a lot of people have made sort of points. They've got a load of kids out as well. They've got a load of youngsters on the bench. They had 2 injuries early, so there really is no excuse for that. The only thing I can put down to that is incompetence and sort of complacency. That's what I can put down to that. But there are some players in our squad that just ain't good enough to be there. Yarmolenko's just not good enough. Masuaku, he can't play anywhere really. He can't play left back, can't play right back, can't play left wing. He does nothing. He offers nothing. And then when you've got them to look at when you're struggling, that's where you're going to come unstuck. We've obviously got Ben Rama away, a couple of defenders away, but attacking wise, we're only really missing Ben Rama, which is worrying, because that's what we've got to change it with. Vlasic didn't have the greatest of games the other day, but I don't think he's that bad. But apart from Ben Rama, we're pretty much at full strength in attack. So when you want to change it up, what is there to bring on? When the striker's not doing his job, what is there to bring on? There's nothing. And this is where we're going to struggle. All the good teams have players to put in every position, at least 2. And we've got 1 at best at times, which is worrying. Defensively, we've been a bit unlucky, losing our 2 centre-halves, because I think Diop or Dawson's good enough to go in there. But, as a rule, you want one of them playing with either Ogbonna or Zuma. And unfortunately, we found ourselves without both. So that is unfortunate. But, you have to, unless we've had 16, 17 days now to sort this sort of stuff out. It's not a new problem. We know we're short, and we still haven't sorted it out. Unless they do something drastic, I can't see us getting top 4. I just think it'll get too much for us. But let's have a look what some of you guys think. Definitely, says Callum Dawson. However, new signings this window will be what decides it. Feels like Moyes is screaming for help bringing in Masuaku and Yarmolenko to chase a win. Defensive cover also needed desperately. Mess Hemret says, I want to try and stay positive, but we've got to be more clinical to keep these positions, in my opinion. We've got to make more signings and invest in our academy players, or else why bother? Andy Miles, of course it is. We have the points on the ball, and teams around us will drop points when they have to play each other also. 3 points Saturday, back on track. 97, Emerald League says, well, the only way to answer that is to get players in. If there's competition for each position, it will push each player to perform. And when we perform, we are hard to beat. JP Hammer says, you have to say it all depends on the transfer window. If the toss pots and Moyes think that we're okay with this paper-thin squad, then 6th would be an overachievement. To be fair, if we cement ourselves as a top 6 side, I'll be more than happy. But why not take the opportunity? Dave Bromley, absolutely, but we need to keep focus and learn from our mistakes. There's still a long way to go, which can be a help just as much as a hindrance. Grant Croxford, of course, a lot has to break our way, but we can do it. Connor Hayes, yes, but I don't think we fully believe I don't fully believe we will because, number one, the squad depth ain't enough, and also the Southampton result hurt, but not bad, because you can have those results, but not every few weeks, which will cost us. Michael Chris says, genuinely, I do think so. Every time we get a knock, we bounce back. We are more than capable of beating anyone, and it's not as if the team's chasing us or any better than us. It's a great opportunity, and I hope we can take it. David Banbury, just 6th. That's all he says. JPWHU TV. Possible, yes. Achievable, that's another question, as we don't have the squad depth. Mr. Thomas, short and sweet, says nope. MM468, it is, but really would rely on Arsenal having similar shockers as well as West Ham having surprising results against big teams. A lack of depth is a death in a heavy fixture list, though. Realistically, even if results go West Ham's way, says Josh Verlis, the main thing jeopardising a challenge for a top 4 spot is the lack of investing and turning an impressive season into an incredible season. Top 4 is a stretch, but Europa League is consecutive years would be a great achievement. And Jalen Turfan finishes it off by just saying simply no. So question 2, after rumours circled social media this afternoon that Andy Carroll was seen at the training ground, would you take Andy Carroll back at the club under any circumstances? Now, this is an odd question. Andy Carroll was without a club for a long time. He's done a short stint at Reading. He scored a couple of spectacular bangers the other week that was disallowed. He scored a good goal at the weekend for Reading. Would I take him back? I would be a damn hypocrite to turn around and say that Haller was one of the worst signings that we've ever made, and he doesn't fit our system and there's no room for him. If I was to turn around and say Andy Carroll would be welcomed back by myself, because Andy Carroll was one of my favourite players. When he was on fire, he was fantastic. When he was fit, he was great. He always come back strong. But something that us football fans do sort of forget about players is that we always remember them at their best. We never remember them at their worst or at the end, especially when it comes to re-signing them. And it was quite evident towards the end of his West Ham career and obviously at his Newcastle career. Newcastle, poor Premier League team. Poor. And he couldn't get in under them and he got released by them. Would he be an option? Of course, anyone's an option. Would he fit Moyes' system? Absolutely not. Is he someone to chuck on for the last 5 minutes if you're chasing a goal and you're pumping it long? Yes, absolutely. Would he fit the Premier League now? Not with VAR, I don't think. I think he'd struggle. But would I take him? No. No, he's like the last time he came back to West Ham, and this is why we let him go. He'd lost it. He'd lost, ages caught up with him. Injuries have caught up with him. He was 5 yards off everything. He couldn't get near anything. And if you're going to sort of say about Haller, then I'd be a hypocrite to say, Andy Carroll. It'd be stupid. If it was the last day of the transfer window and we had a spare squad space and he's going to take $1,000 a week, get him in. Even if he's going to, even if it, he just plays after a few injuries and all that sort of thing, like just really stopgap. But no, I think we need to be looking to improve what we've got, not, look for understudies. I think that's a mistake that we make, and that's why we end up going backwards. But no, definitely not. Andy Carroll, no. Cannon Dawson says, as the new tea lady, maybe we've moved past signings like that. Remind me of re-signing Colton Cole a few years back. Miss Hammerette, no, not consistent enough when he was with us towards the end. We shouldn't be looking backwards. We should be striving forwards. If GSB clowns have anything to do with this, so bet it happens, as it will be a lovely cheap deal for them. Well, he regretted signing Carroll, and he said that. James Fatboy Fever 16 says, I would be an insult to every fan up and down the land if we re-sign Carroll. Where's the ambition? Andy Miles says he is on £1,000 a week at Reading and appearance bonus, so he could help when we need a plan B. Yes, there is no reason not to take him on except for financial reasons. He is, of course, cannot be the Antonio replacement we're looking for. Otherwise, it's a complete farce. JPWHU TV says he was a cracking defender, and still is, but not the player he once was. We should be looking forward, not back. No, he's always injured. What's the point? Says Korean NFL fandom free agent. I think Graham would be better up front, says I Am Boy 1966. Michael Chris says, no, I don't think it sets the right tone for what we are trying to become and push forward. Hammers BFX says, no chance. I don't think Moyes would either. I guess his contract is up at Reading, so he's training at Rush Green to keep his fitness up. Grants Coxford says, not unless it's a charity event. Alex P, not a chance, absolute pony. Josh Varellis says West Ham need reliable backup for Antonio given his injury record. Bringing Carroll back would be bringing a striker back with an even worse injury record, and it would be typical West Ham to be back to square one and have no striker. Carroll isn't top level striker anymore anyway. Dan DC says, have we really got to that? If it is a similar wage to what Reading was paying and to the end of the season, I think he adds as a target to the team at least someone better than Masuaku to help score from the bench. Jordan Sainsbury says, no, simply not good enough. We've had how long to sort out and scout and bring in a suitable striker since hell. If it's Andy Carroll, he's done one of them little emoji faces. Going for top four finish, let's bring back Carroll. Clown, says Liam Dias. No, we need someone similar to Antonio, someone with pace. Carroll doesn't have any unless he's going to borrow some of Mbappe's. John just says no, full stop. Dave Bromley says, I don't think we can take a chance on somebody historically so injury prone. It's not like he didn't get a chance before, and it's certainly not a next level signing in my opinion. And Sam DT 1966 says, in a word, no. Okay, now question 3. This is one quite near and dear to my heart, obviously. It's been a difficult day for fan media as Mr. DT, you know, the guy from Arsenal Fan TV, has been sentenced after quite a disturbing crime. Do we, and I mean us, as fan channels have a responsibility to vet, select and provide more vigilance to the people we allow to use our platform? Now, unlike a few other people, obviously I'm friends with people that are involved with that and run the stuff, so I'm privy to a little bit more information. I'm not going to reveal anything on here because it's just not my place to, but they're getting a lot of stick at the moment for having him back on, and you know it turns out he'd done a little stint in prison. I didn't know about that, but I have heard why they let him back on, and I've heard the story that he told them. And if it was down to me, with the story that he said compared to the story that came out, I'm not going to say much, but if someone told you the story that he told them, you would say everyone would do the same thing in a situation. I'm sure you can sort of put two and two together. I'm not going to reveal anything or to say who he told it to or whatever. You know, that's not my business. But it is a shocking crime. It is. I was shocked. I was shocked with the severity of it, and you know, I just hope that everyone involved in the crime is okay, because you know it could have, you know, ramifications mentally and all of that sort of thing. And the worst thing about him is he was using mental health as an excuse for it, and you know, he was sort of lying to people. But look, that's either near or there. The question is, do we have more of a responsibility to vet, select and provide more vigilance to the people? I would say this is that with an open platform, and this is with every, and this is where I'm going to defend Arsenal Fan TV, with every platform, you open the platform, and they do open their platform. He's not exclusive. You know, he's not, you know, when he does fan cams and stuff, he does it like our guys. You know, he queues up, he waits his turn, to have his say, because you open up the platform for people. Can you vet them? No, you can't vet them. You don't know who's coming up to you, and with an open platform, and that's not just with Arsenal Fan TV or YouTube or amateurs like us. That you're talking about the best in the world that do this, like the news broadcasters and stuff. There was a news broadcaster a couple of years ago that done an interview with a guy, and it went viral, and it ended up he killed people, like he killed an old man and robbed him of his gear and all that sort of thing. He was a drifter, and Jimmy Savile at the BBC, there was rumours that they not only knew about it, but they was covering it up, and they still continued to broadcast him and things like that. You can't vet people. You have to take people for their word. You have to take people. That being said, if something comes out after, so Mr. DT's done this crime, if he now comes back out on Arsenal Fan TV, then there's a problem. But he's not gone to. They've said that they're gone to. Could we provide a bit more vigilance? What can you do? As you say, if a news broadcaster's out in the street, they stop that person could be anyone. It could be a pedo, it could be a rapist, it could be a murderer. You don't know who you are. You have to take people at face value. If it then comes out afterwards, the fact that, if, say for instance, if that was our channel, someone on our channel went on and done a horrendous crime like that, then they would never be welcome back again. And that's the best you can do. You have to take people at face value. What can we do? A guy comes up to a fan cam. You're going to get your phone out and start doing one of them CRB checks and say just come back next week and all of that. No, you can't do that. You have to take. And I know that he become very close and become quite a prominent part of the channel. But what happens in people's private lives is their private life. When it comes to a working relationship, it's not really your business. It's not really your. What can you do? You have to, as I say, you have to take people on face value. You have to. I don't think I know that they couldn't have done anything more to sort of stop the situation. Should they have had him back on in January? As I said, there's sides to every story. The story that I've been told, if it was someone someone that and someone that you trust told me a story like that, I would have had him on in a heartbeat. Because any man would have done what he told them he did in that situation. And I'm sure you can imagine what it is. But, there's not much you can do until after the fact. They've made the right decision after the fact. He's not welcome back on there. He's their biggest draw. He's been their biggest draw for a long time in terms of fan cams. And he's not going to go back on there again because they're disgusted about what he did, and that would be exactly the same. So I don't think you can, you could probably keep an eye on people, and I have done this in the past with certain people in fan cams who have gone viral with us, and you keep an eye on them and you sort of advise them, and which I know that they do, and you provide support and things like that. And there are certain people out there with fan cams, again not naming any names, that would testify to that we've given them a bit of aftercare. But there's nothing you can do before the fact. Before that information come out, nobody would have known that. It was only because it was printed on a government website. Nobody would have known. He was telling people all sorts of things. There was no one in the world that knew what had gone on. You would have seen it online or something like that. No one in the world would have known what had gone on until the government released the facts of the case. And then once the facts of the case came out, they made the decision, and they made the right decision. They're not guilty by association. I see people yesterday, and I mean verified accounts, saying they're complicit to his crimes. They're complicit to a kidnap. Come on now. It's fucking ridiculous. So I hope my pal's okay. Fuck DT though, he can go and fucking rot for all I care. But yeah, all fans deserve a voice, but I agree it's the responsibility of channels to have the awareness to know the people they surround themselves with and allow to share their platforms. Again, Callum, I would say you have to take people's word for it. you have to take people's word for it. Jay the Jet says, that's a difficult question. Where do you draw the line? Do you give guests, co-presenters, etc. a DBS criminal check? Do you ask questions for their due diligence, or is everyone's opinion valid to start with and take it from there? Exactly my point, John. Can't judge one man all on one man's bad decisions. Everyone is allowed to speak openly. If the content isn't for you, you don't air it, or then don't have them on again. Grant Coxford says, I think you have to judge people at face value and go from there. Their off-screen behaviour is a separate issue. If you find out they have done something that puts the channel in bad light, you move on, which is what they have done. You can't be expected to research into people's personal lives, but it's obviously hard to comment on such a specific issue with such little information. Of course, with knowledge, people should deny access accordingly, but I'm hoping we won't see passport checks to a fan cam. He done a little laughy face. JPWHUTV says it's a platform for freedom of speech, but there has to be a level of respect, diligence and responsibility from all angles. What he did in his personal life is abhorrent and sets bad example to those he influences. You never know what's lying under the surface of anyone, but what can you do? You know, they've done their diligence. It's all come out, and they're doing a responsible thing. So I would say they've met that. Michael Chris says, good question. It's difficult as everyone has everyone's opinion is valid. It would be hard for you to vet contributors. Having said that, if you're aware of contributors who are not setting the right example, putting the fans in a bad light, you have every right to call them out on it. Mr. Daniel DeCoste one says, no, we all have a responsibility for our own actions, and we alone must face the rightful consequences if our actions fall below standards or the law. Well, that's the way it should be anyway. Alex P says, I don't think it's the fan channel's problems to sort out. They just voice fans' opinions, not AFTV's fault. DTs are wrong, and as harsh as that sounds. Yes and no, as fan TVs are open to anyone to express their opinions. However, there is rumours regarding an individual. It might be best to say there's certain issue happening other than say something else. There was no rumour about him, you know, what went on. And Nick says that DT guy obviously had a screw loose. There we go. That's all 3 questions. Thank you very much for coming back to join us on Midweek Musings. We'll be back previewing all the stuff coming up to the Manchester United game at the weekend. If you're new around here, subscribe. We appreciate you. And one thing left to say, come on you Irons.